again, and welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show showcases emerging indie authors who join us for a discussion of their newly published books. Join us for a conversation with our next guest author. Hey there, thank you for joining me today. If you are new here, my name is Emma, and welcome to Author Roundup. I have a special guest today, self-published author Kate Seng. Kate is not new to publishing. Her first book, Doodle Noodle, was released in 2021, with Maisie's Full Heart following in 2022. Kate is the owner of Poe and Company bookstore in Milton, Georgia. She has now published her third book in her series called Posie's Full Pockets, released in April of this year. Kate, hi, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm great. Thank you, Emma, for having me.
Yeah, well, I think your books are super adorable, and I can't wait to learn more about your newest one. Can you tell us about your book?
Yes. So Posie's Full Pockets is the third book in my series. First one being Doodle Noodle, and Noodle is the through character, which is a dog who plays a role in all three books.
Oh,
But this book about Posie is her relationship with special things that she keeps in her pocket. And her friends tend to make fun of her because she's always dropping things on the ground. And they say, "Why do you have all this in your pockets?" And the premise of the story is the attachment to memories that we make through certain items and objects, and how special that can be for memories that we can recreate and those that we cannot.
okay. And so what inspired her character and her desire to hold these memories in her pockets?
Well, there are certain things that when I see them, maybe it's an object, or maybe it's even a scent or a song, and it brings back a rush of very good emotion. And that prompted the idea of how certain objects can evoke very wonderful emotions that we might have about memories or about past events.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you mentioned that the dog is present in each of
correct.
each of your books. Okay. And how is the dog relative to this story in particular?
Really, in this story, the focus is not on Noodle, but Noodle is Maisie's dog, and Maisie is
Oh,
Posie's best friend.
oh,
So
okay, cool.
Maisie and Posie show up, or I'm sorry, Maisie and Noodle show up in all three of the books.
Okay, cool. And so you mentioned a little bit about memories, and this your story is explores, the beauty and pain of memories, especially those tied to friendship and things like loss. What drew you to write this particular children's book with such like emotional depth?
Well, to be honest with you, unfortunately, we had two teen deaths in the last year. One was a family member, and one was a friend. And
Oh,
so it really touched me, and that those were difficult situations for a lot of reasons.
yeah,
But being able to have those memories to hold on to is very special. And it is a children's book, so we don't dive too deeply into it, but
yeah.
it touches on it. And that's a reality, unfortunately, of the world and of unexpected circumstances. So
Yeah, and especially like when things pop up when you have children involved, like things like loss and grief, especially, at such a young age, if you have young kids, like it's kind of hard to navigate like that particular topic and memories that are associated with like that person.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you balance the themes of joy, or I guess since it is a children's book, like you mentioned, how did you balance the joy and the grief in a way that's accessible and comforting for kids?
Well, the majority of the story really is focusing on positive memories that are recreatable, but we
Mm,
do touch on a page that talks about how Posey used to sit down with her grandmother and they used to watch birds. And
mm,
her grandmother, I allude to the fact that that's a memory she cannot recreate because children do lose their grandparents. So we don't
mm.
really talk about it. It maybe a child might not even recognize that that's an undertone there, but it's just a way to sort of put it out there and recognize the positive memories that we can have with people, even if we can't recreate those memories, without
Hmm.
making it dark or inappropriate.
Yeah, yeah, keep it like a children's book. Yeah.
Sure.
And so in your book, the idea that even children appreciate the pleasant moments in life is very powerful because they are little kids, but obviously they retain so much and they do pick up on, positive memories. Why do you think it's important for kids to learn how to cherish and process memories at such an early age?
Well, I don't I don't think they have to really even think about that. I just think that's something that happens with a child. They attach to certain memories.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a birthday party or a relationship with an aunt, or there are so many things that I think kids can attach themselves to. And it brings back a memory for me of when my brother and I visited my grandparents and we spent a week with them and all the fun things that we did and how memorable that week was that stuck with me for so long. And it's
Mhm.
just amazing how important those times are that you might not think are that important or that special or that unique, but really hold a very dear place in your heart. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think also with kids too, I feel like the feeling of a memory or the feeling of being somewhere present, holds true with them remembering it is like, okay, I felt this way, even though they might not recognize that. They know the feeling
sure,
that they had like in that moment too, that I think they definitely pick
absolutely.
up on.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Were there any real life memories, your own or from others that influenced the creation of this story?
Well, like I mentioned about my grandmother, now our pastime wasn't watching birds, but I found that to be something relatable.
Right.
Um, but that special week that I had with my grandparents and my brother, where we flew on our own and we went to their house and we had a very special time of all these unique experiences that they came up with,
Hmm.
that was one thing that drove some of my memories.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did they live? So they didn't live by you? You had to fly to
They
get to
did
them?
not.
Oh, that's like a journey in itself for a kid.
It is. So we lived in Michigan and
Oh,
I'm one
no.
of seven children. So having just my brother and I take a trip to Myrtle Beach, they were in Myrtle Beach, to Myrtle
Oh,
Beach
wow.
and spend the week with them, it was very special and unique for us. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah.
oh.
So how do you hope that this book helps families talk about difficult topics like loss or change even?
hmm I think it can gently lend itself to a conversation.
Mm,
Say there is a loss of a grandparent or a
mm,
friend or an unexpected death. I think it can lend to that conversation very gently. But then I don't want it to all be focused on that. There are some very positive memories that can be recreated, and that's how the story wraps up with
mhm,
Posie and her friend trying to recreate an art time that they had together.
mm.
She has a picture all crumpled up in her pocket of a painting that they made together. So in the end, they say let's create, and it's something that they can do together that's positive.
Okay. And how is Posey's Full Pockets? How is it different from your other two books?
Well, the first book, Doodle Noodle, is about Noodle getting lost. And
Mm,
so it's sort of an artistic and whimsical journey through Maisie's eyes of how to bring Posey or how to bring Noodle back home. And
mhm,
so she thinks of all the creatives in her life and asks them to recreate Noodle in hopes of bringing Noodle back home. So, for example, she talks about the cake baker at the grocery store recreating Noodle on a cake, and her favorite restaurant that has a mosaic, having the mosaic creator create Noodle so that Noodle can come back home, and a lot of different artists that she comes across in her young life. And then the second one is actually called Maisie's Full Heart. And I told you that there are seven of us in my family, but four of us were adopted.
Oh,
So it's the natural curiosity that a child has about where they came from. And
sure.
so it talks about how Maisie's very curious about the piece of her that she doesn't know. But in
Mhm,
the end, her heart is full because she's happy with where she's at and the
mhm,
family that she's a part of. So that's the second book. And then this one is focused on memories.
mhm. And so, how was it writing this book compared to your other two books? Did you have a similar writing process, or the subject itself? Was it easier with this one or more difficult based on the other ones?
I tend to write very quickly. And I guess when we have authors come to the bookstore, a lot of times they'll focus on are they a plotter or a pantser? And I'd say I'm more of a pantser, which means I go with a creative thought process more
Mm-hmm.
than I do plotting it out and having it be very organized and detailed in advance. So
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this one the same way as I wrote the other three, and I tend to write very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my biggest challenge is the editing piece, making sure I've got lots of eyes looking at it because I don't feel I'm a great editor. And
Mm-hmm.
so I need that help from other people. And sometimes that process, along with the illustrations and working with my illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
is where the time, the time take it's where it takes a little more time.
Yeah. So obviously this is a children's book. Have you
Yes.
for this book and your other previous books, have you gotten a lot of feedback, or have they gotten into the hands of parents and teachers that have read it in their classrooms and things like that?
Yes.
Oh,
So I've done some author visits in school, and I also own a bookstore called Poe and Company in Milton, Georgia. So it's obviously on display there. So sometimes our storytime reader will read it to the children that come for story time. Um, and then I've just tried to get it out at some different book fairs, a lot of different opportunities that arise, craft shows, different things like that, where I can get it out in front of other people.
yeah. And what advice would you give to parents or teachers reading this book with kids? Do you have any advice for them?
I think it could be a great book. I know in our story time, sometimes we'll stop and we'll ask a question. So
Yeah.
it's a great book that lends itself to some question asking.
Yeah.
Like, what's a special memory that you have? What's
Yeah.
one of your favorite times with your grandma? Um, who's your best friend and what do you like to do together? Just
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love like just when you're talking or reading to a kid, or like asking them questions, or even like picking up like things on pages, which your book is so beautiful, and I'm sure the interior is as well, and is just like asking them questions about the pages and things like that is really fun, I bet, to witness storytellers, talking about your book and going through your book with kids. I bet that's really special.
It is special. Thank you.
Yeah. And so did you write this story with a specific age group in mind, or did it evolve more universally throughout the process or during the process?
I did write it with a specific age group. All three of the books are geared for 4 to 8.
Okay.
And so I've kind of stuck to that age
Yeah.
range.
Okay. And
Hmm.
so do you have a specific like style within like children book writing specifically that you wanted to aim for, or did it happen organically that your style just kind of happened?
Um, I think it happened somewhat organically. I think there's a lot of influences, um, just from different books that I've read, different authors that I admire.
Yeah,
Um,
information.
I really admire Laura Numeroff, and I was so grateful that she gave me a blurb for the back of the book. Um,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was so fantastic. So I think I just try to glean things from other authors and look at the way that they do things. I was very lucky that a friend that I met when we lived in North Carolina is an illustrator that transferred to Atlanta, and she has been with me for all three books, Kat Canley, and I love her style, and
Mhm.
it just worked out really well for the flavor of the books, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask that next about the illustration, and I'm glad that you have your book on display so we can, so the audience can see how beautifully done it is. Your covers and your other book covers are amazing. Can you tell us about them and the direction you took with your illustrator?
Yes. So I met Kat when I lived in North Carolina, and during COVID, she moved to Atlanta to be closer to family, and we reconnected. And I told her, it's time, I'm ready to get these books out. How would you feel about illustrating? Because I had seen some other things that she had worked on, and I love her style.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a easy fit. She's super creative, very talented, and we were very close by, so we could meet up when we needed to, and we collaborate well. So it was a blessing.
Yeah. And so did you so she already had like a specific style, but was there, points of your book that you worked with her to work out specific pages, or did she really like understand what you wanted throughout all of your books?
She did really understand, but there were times where she would say, I can't draw this. What do you recommend?
What
Or
do you need me to
she
do?
would say, hey, I have a suggestion. Let's change these couple words and go in this direction. So we
Oh,
really
nice.
would work off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she helped me a lot too with a couple of lot verses on certain pages, and I would try to give her ideas. If she was like, I'm not really sure what to do with this, we would help each other. So
Yeah. And how long are your books in general? How many pages?
usually, well, they're a little bit different, but between 24 and 26
Okay.
pages, I try to keep it in that range.
Hmm. And so you mentioned, and I mentioned that you own a bookstore in Georgia
Mhm.
where you live. So did you own this bookstore before you became a an author or after? How does that work out? How did that work out that you own a bookstore and you're an author?
I actually wrote Doodle Noodle prior to opening Poe and Company Bookstore.
Okay.
We will be celebrating our third anniversary on September 2nd.
Nice.
So we're very
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Every year on our anniversary, we celebrate Noodle's birthday and have a birthday party in the store.
Oh, that's sweet. That's so cute.
Yeah. So,
So what's the inspiration behind the bookstore's name, Poe and Company?
okay, so one of my father's favorite authors was Edgar Allan Poe, and he passed away prior to me opening up the bookstore. So I named it after him.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Do you have family members working in your bookstore?
I do. My
Oh,
oldest son,
sweet.
senior in college, is works part-time.
Okay,
Yes.
that's so special. That's so fun. And so
Yes.
do you go into the bookstore every day, or are you kind of manager on the outside? Everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing?
Oh, well, we're not. So originally, I thought I would be in the bookstore every single day, but I found out that some of the business things that need to be taken care of could not be taken care of at the bookstore. So I try to work from home on Mondays and do all of my business things. And then I'm in the store Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And
Mm.
then we, 2 Saturdays a month, I'm in, usually revolving around author visits.
Oh, okay, very nice.
So, but I do have a great staff who knows, what's going on and are very helpful for making sure the day-to-day and the retail and the inventory are all taken care of. So,
So you knew like kind of well through the process, like what goes into publishing and how to get books into bookstores and things. You kind of learned all of that just because that was your business. That's very interesting. You kind of knew all that.
it's nice to know both sides of the business, to be
Yeah.
the author who's trying to get their book out and promoted and to be the bookstore owner. So it does lend itself to, being able to be on both sides of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. So when did you start writing Posey's Full Pockets?
Uh, Probably, I want to say it was maybe 10 months ago.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So not very long to make
Not very
write.
long.
Yeah, because you said you write pretty quickly.
I do for children's books.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Oh,
to get a novel out, but that has been a long and arduous process. So we'll see. We'll see
okay.
where that goes.
And so can you share any anecdotes of your writing experience for this book or for both of your other books?
Well, one of the things uh, that one of the examples that I use of a memory for Posie is a birthday party that she had, and a certain item that she had in her cup at her birthday party that she keeps in her pocket because it was such a fond memory.
Mhm.
And when my boys were younger, one of the things that they wanted to do for their birthday party was go to Chuck E. Cheese. And so that memory is what stimulated that page about the
Mhm.
birthday party and what a good memory it was. And while those parties are often overwhelming for the parent, they
I do
are very
love those
special for the
things.
children.
Yeah, they love it. I don't really know how many's left in the US, but they were very popular back then.
I don't even know if they're still active
I
anymore,
don't
but
know. Yeah. It was a hit though. Um,
was.
what was the difference about your writing process or journey with this book compared to your other ones? Anything that stands out or
I think there's a little bit more depth to it. I definitely know from the first book to the third book, um, it was the first book felt fun and fluffy and creative, and
yeah.
this one had a lot of
Yeah.
heartfelt, passionate sort of ties to it. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And so what is as a bookstore owner, what is your writing process or your routine as an author? I know a lot of authors have different routines. Some like to write in the morning, some like to write in the evening. What's kind of your routine as an author?
well, unfortunately, I don't have a great routine, and I think that's part of my problem for the novel because you really do need a routine in order to get it out. Whereas I feel like chunks of free time would surface, and I would write, but that's
Yeah.
not really effective for the bigger or long-term project. So it works
Yeah.
for children's books, but I truly need to get a little bit more organized and have a bit more of a regular process if I'm going to get through this
Book.
next
Yeah. Is
book.
that a fiction or nonfiction?
It's fiction.
Oh, okay, nice. What genre are you looking to explore?
It's general fiction with a slash of mystery, a bit of mystery in it.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's exciting. That's
It
yeah,
is
very different from children's book writing.
very different,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part of this book to write? What was or the most fun part to write?
Hmm, fun part. Boy. I think just coming up with all the special memories, the
Mm-hmm.
creative piece of going reflecting back into the eyes of a child and
Mm-hmm.
thinking, what were those things that were so special to me?
Right. It's kind of like digging into your inner child again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah. I love like the little items that are memories in her pockets. I think that's so cute. Was it fun coming up with like all the items and things like that?
It was.
Oh.
And you have to think about now how realistic is it that all these items are going to fit into these pockets? But
Yeah.
it was very fun.
Yeah, that. Did you have any like challenges? I know it took you not very long to write it, but did you have any challenges during writing this with this book? Any like difficulties in your writing process, or was it pretty much straightforward and easy to crank out?
No, I didn't have any problems because I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do and what I wanted it to look like. I
Mhm.
think with the illustration sometimes it
Yeah, it wasn't
have to
straightforward. Yeah,
have to work through that or
yeah,
what do you want to focus on this page or that sort of thing.
yeah,
Or if the wording was off a little bit, how to clean it up and then make the illustration, flow with that.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So what has feedback been like from children or parents or educators about your book? What do kids think about your book?
So far, it's been very positive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It has been very positive. I've been very lucky about that. I do have two stuffed characters. So Maisie and Noodle both are stuffed animals. So
Oh,
those go with the book as well. And I think sometimes kids are enamored with stuffed animals. So
yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. What advice would you give to a writer working on his or her first book?
Just to keep going. I find that so many people want to write a book or they start to write a book, but they don't finish the process.
Hmm.
And really just to keep plugging away at it. And if your first book isn't exactly what you wanted it to be, you learn as you go. It just
Hmm.
gets better and you have more resources and you understand the process. And yeah, I say just start, keep going,
Yeah.
stay focused.
And did you always want to be a book an author or even a children's book author? How did this journey for you begin?
I always wanted to be an author since I can remember, since I was a little kid. It was always about stories, and I used to write a lot of stories, short stories, and a lot of poetry.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if any of it was ever any good, but it was fun for me.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be a children's author. I thought I would
Okay.
write for adults.
Hmm.
But my mom put that bug in my ear at one point, and finally I said, okay, let me write a children's book. And I'm so glad I did. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, I bet. Super rewarding. And I'm glad that you followed through with it. I know that, a lot of writers don't follow through and it's always on their mind, but, you'd rather have it get out there. So you honestly just stop thinking about it and just go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are there any returning stories with Posey in it or Noodle? Do you have anything exciting that you're working on as far as another children's book planned, or you just want to
I
focus on
don't
fiction?
I don't have another children's book planned right now, so that's a bit tabled for the moment. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean there couldn't be a fourth one. We will see.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think that's all the time we have today. Is there anything else that you want to mention today or share with our audience?
Just that my books are available at katesengbooks.com, and
Okay.
they're also available at Amazon and Barnes& and Noble online, as well as Poe and Company Bookstore in Milton, Georgia.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I did want to ask you one last question.
Sure.
And that is if readers or listeners take away one message from Posey's story, what do you hope that that is?
That they appreciate the memories and the time that they spend with cherished members of their family and
Mm,
friends, because it does go by quickly. And I think just to be purposeful about those interactions.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kate, for joining me today. It was wonderful talking to you and learning more about your book. I think your books are wonderful. The illustrations are so beautiful. So, if you're listening, if you have a little one who you would love to read this book to, as Kate mentioned, you can get it on Amazon, also archwaypublishing.com. You can purchase it through there. And Kate has a website that she shared as well. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time.